Indianapolis is a sports town through and through. This is the home of Reggie, Peyton, the Indy 500. These people aren't easy to impress, but they are willing to try something new, like bike racing. That is Momentum Indy. 2 days of professional racing in downtown Indianapolis. It starts with a party Friday night on Mass Ave, and then a community ride and full day of family racing on Saturday. 2 great days, 1 great city. Welcome to Indianapolis. And what a city to kick things off here for the Echelon Racing League as we get ready for day 1, stop number 1 here of season 2 of the ERL, with some beautiful shots of Indianapolis, Indiana, our host here for stop 1 of the Echelon Racing League. So psyched to have Lauren Hall alongside with us. Lauren is going to be with us all season long. Lauren, welcome to the virtual world. I am so glad to have you here.
Thanks, Brad. I'm super stoked to be here and excited for some online racing.
Certainly going to be different. A lot of these riders are used to, and we're going to have a good chance to learn about a lot of these riders, their strengths and weaknesses throughout the season this year. We do have a full schedule of racing on tap for the 2021-2022 race year. Let's take a look at our schedule for the Echelon Racing League, what we're calling Season 2. Indy Crit today, followed by the Tour of America's Dairyland tomorrow. We're going to be doing their Grafton course for stop number 2 of this weekend. Then we got a couple weeks off before going to Gateway Cup, and then the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic after that, 18th and 19th, followed by Tour of the Gila. They're going to have 3 days of racing from the 7th to the 9th of January. Then it's to Tulsa Tough, Intelligentsia, Joe Martin stage race, and then the league championships on February 12th. Lauren, I know you recognize a lot of these races from your professional career in real life.
Yeah, a couple that just kind of stand out. Iron Horse Bike Race right here in my backyard. Tour of the Gila, actually one of my favorite races as a sprinter. I really love that race. And, of course, Joe Martin Stage Race. So much happening in Arkansas. Really, really great to see.
All right, now let me show you something that you won't recognize from your career as a professional racer. This year in the Echelon Racing League, RGT and Echelon Racing will be giving away an NFT trophy for our overall men's and women's race winners. These will be minted by Echelon Racing League and, again, awarded at the end of the series this year. So, Lauren, I am almost positive you never got an NFT in your career.
No, I'll probably never own one either, but hey, you know what? An NFT is probably a little bit better than a couple of these plastic trophies I have just hanging and collecting some dust. So hey, I take an NFT any day.
It may not make sense right now, but the kids are telling me these are going to catch on eventually. So imagine if they gave you a Bitcoin when you won your Ghent Wevelgem. You'd be a thousandaire, at least, by now. All right, well, looks like our riders are starting to make their way into the pens and into our Zoom room. We're going to do our best to bring you coverage of our riders throughout the day, all day today. So cool to be able to see these riders racing in sort of their home pain caves here. By far, to me, Lauren, looks like Timmy Bauer has the best pain cave for my money.
He's crushing it. Look at the light setup. We got some numbers already back there. But I also like Zach's background right there, a little national championship jersey, throwing it out on the line right there. Let's go.
We're going to be seeing some new riders in our Zoom room this year as well in Season 2, because this year they launched a draft for our Community League riders. The Echelon Racing League hosts both community races and pro races. This year, the pro teams were able to select riders from those community races and bring them up from essentially the amateur ranks into the pro ranks. So X-Speed United got the first pick this year. They picked up Sam Siebel, and then Mike Lister went second to Team Tour 2000. Matt Hammond drafted third. He'll be up in the big leagues with Hugh Dog Racing, and then Walter Clace, the Belgian, also getting picked up by Draft Racing. Brian Hodges from Triple X, faster cyclist, picked up the Belgian Fabian Diavola, and then Travis Samuel and Sebastian Wolf also getting a call up. So it'll be really fun to watch these riders, Lauren, in their debut in the Pro League here.
What a great name, Sebastian Wolf. No pressure. I'm going to pick him as my dark horse.
We'll keep an eye on Mr. Wolf, drafted 8th in the pick. Let's take a look at the course for today. This is a good one in Indianapolis. The Indy Crit is part of 2 days of racing at Momentum Indy. They start with the Mass Avenue Crit on Friday night. This is one of the best criteriums in America. If you've never been, this is one you've got to put on your list. It's on the party street. It's downtown. It's at night. It's a short, fun, fast course. And then on Saturday, they head over to the Indy Crit course. This one also unique. It's 8 corners, kind of a modified figure 8 course with a long start-finish stretch, and then you sort of do these 2 loops at the top and the bottom with the family fun zone in the middle. Lauren, if you like corners, this is the crit for you. This would be the course that you'd be after.
I love a dynamic crit. A little bit of left, a little bit of right. Let's shake it up. Let's get aggressive.
8 turns per lap. They're going to be doing 27 laps today for both our pro women and pro men. Hardly any elevation gain out there. They only pick up about 130 feet total throughout the 27 laps of racing around the 0.95 mile course, so just under a mile long out there on the circuit. That means just under 27 miles of total racing. And if this year is anything like what we saw last year, it's going to be a tight battle out there on course. This one was one of the few races in 2020, 2021 where we really saw the group stay together for most of the race. We saw a lot of separation in the longer road races, but this one stayed together all the way to the line, ending in a chaotic bunch gallop won by Kevin Bouchard-Hall, a new winner on the podium at Indy Crit last year.
Because it's so fast and there's such a washboard going on. It's kind of a lottery of like when you jump and whether or not you're fresh enough to have some kick. And I think we needed to have everything fall in the right place, and I just got lucky, really. I think we had like 50 laps or however many we did to try to guess when the jump point is and where you needed to be in the pack. And I think I felt like I had a good idea of where I needed to go, and it worked out better than I thought. But I mean, I think it easily could have been 20 other people that won today.
You see Bouchard-Hall in good company. Cindri Breen also getting onto the podium in second. Aled Jones in third last year, and then Gary Muller in fourth. Jonathan Crane picking up 5th place. You see a lot of these familiar names back out here in Season 2, including Oliver Dowd. You see there, Mike Lister got picked up again in 2021 there in 7th place in that one. So, Lauren, we are just a few minutes away from getting ready to roll. But before we get started with our virtual racing, I want to bring in our in-real-life race director from the Indy Crit. Her name is Jennifer Svar. I should say Momentum Indy. I apologize, Jennifer. It's a learning process, and the junior race director of Momentum Indy joining us as well. Jennifer, thanks for being here this morning.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Hey, so first of all, congratulations on what Momentum Indy has done over the last couple of years. Talk to me first about the name change. You guys are sort of merging those 2 races into one at Momentum Indy.
Yes. So we had 2 great, awesome events here in Indianapolis, the Indy Crit, which I founded, and then the Mass Ave Crit. 2019, we launched them both in the same weekend. And then 2020 and 2021 was really our rebranding and a reset. So bringing them all under one roof and a way for the racers and the community to easily identify both. So it's been exciting and a fun ride.
And I understand you guys are already well underway with your planning for 2022. Are dates picked out yet?
Yes. Saturday, August 27th will be the Mass Ave Crit. It's a twilight race. As you said, it's along a really fun, exciting part of the city with a lot of bars and restaurants and fans. And then the Indy Crit will be on Sunday, August 28th.
Awesome. Well, I know I'll be there. I'm going to do my best to get Lauren there as well. And it is truly one of the best weekends of criterium racing in the United States. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are just about to go racing, and just like the real life Indy Crit, we always start on time here in the Echelon Racing League. So enjoy the day today. And again, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, well, Rodder's in the starting pen, just about ready to get rolling here, getting their final countdown inside 20 seconds to race start here. Now, Lauren, this is important. The start is huge in virtual racing because what you really want to do here is get your power up as high as you can early on so that when that clock hits 0, you essentially start from the gun. You start rolling immediately. So right now, the Rodders are ratcheting up their power. When you start an RGT race, you want to start at full power. So that's why everyone's in the red zone right here.
And going full gas, it looks like right now. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to see e-racing kind of happening and what it takes and how to play the game and yeah, how to start out like this. It's bananas, and that is kind of crit racing. Essentially, the first couple of laps are usually full gas, and then they kind of settle in. But do they settle in e-racing? You know, this is new to me, so I don't know. Brad, do you know?
Yeah, in the criterium racing, I think they will. On the road races, not so much, because a lot of it has to do with, obviously, the dynamics of the riders off the front. The makeup of the field has a lot to do with it, too. If you have a big gap of talent, you will see some pretty quick separation. I have a feeling this one stays together all day. We had a really wide range of talent last year in 2021 on this course, and it was pretty much a group of like 20-something going to the line together. So I think you have a tough time getting away. The other thing about racing this course is on RGT, the corners are built into the physics of the game. So as the riders are cornering here, it's essentially scrubbing some power off of whatever power they're putting in. So if you're pedaling through a corner, you're just wasting energy. It's not doing you any good. There's Frank Cundiff taking a look on the front for Project Echelon. Frank is not only part of the Project Echelon team, but also part of the administration behind the scenes in the Echelon Racing League. So nice to see Frank getting out there and getting a taste of his own medicine for Project Echelon Racing today.
Little counterattack happening, and I bet some of these guys that have raced last year, you know, kind of now know what to expect and have a little bit better idea of how to play this game.
Griffin going to take a look now on the front. A little bit of a separation behind these guys. I don't think that's enough to worry about yet. It's going to have to be something like 10, 15, 20 seconds, something like that, I think, before we really start to see what we would call separation. Here's another guy that we know well from the Echelon Racing League. That was Charlie Revel up on the front and getting a look at that separation that I was talking about right now. You can see even if you're in 40th position here, Lauren, you're still in a good place. There are a lot of riders that win criterium races by just chilling at the back all day long. You can't do that in many virtual races, but I would say this is probably one of the few where you could do it.
Okay, and how come? Tell me more. Why do you think that you can sit back there in this race specifically? Just because it's so flat?
Yeah, because I don't think there's going to be a split on the front. The danger of sitting in the group for most of the day is that the group rolls away on the front, obviously. But in a crit like this, based on the way that this course raced last year, I think if you just gamble and say, you know, I'm betting that it's going to all stay together, you can save a pretty significant amount of energy by being able to sit back in the group. But here's a guy that doesn't want to sprint, Mike Swart, trying to split it now. And you see the color bar below Swart's name hovering above his head. That shows the power zone that he is in right now. And you see in the upper left-hand corner, each color corresponds to a different power zone. So the game knows the sort of maximum effort that each rider can do. And then depending on where they are in their power zone, we can see that here on screen. So you saw Swart was going into the red zone. Now he's been caught. He goes back into the green zone, which is a much easier tempo pace, as they call it. So you'll see that a lot. As riders start to surge, the bar goes red as they go into that capacity or pain zone. But you can't spend a lot of time in the red zone, Lauren. You got to really use those bullets wisely.
Yeah, you spend too much time in the red zone. I don't think there's really much recovery in e-racing. So you're not going to stay up there too long. You're going to want some help. You're going to want to get back into the group. Yeah, you're going to want to turn your fan on high.
Here's Oosborn taking a look at the front here. Timmy Bauer, who is in the early running for the best pain cave of the Echelon Racing League, taking a look as well. Usborne is a big part of that Above and Beyond Cancer presented by Bike World team, and even took some wins here in the Echelon Racing League last year. So this is a guy that knows how to race on the RGT platform, and there is absolutely an element to learning how to play the game on the platform. Lauren, I'm sure you found out just because you're a good bike racer on the road, you can't just go onto these virtual platforms and expect to start winning immediately.
Look, I tried one of these last year at some point, just signed up for a race and didn't know that to start off the line like you were talking about earlier at the start. Yeah, it was a quick and painful learning curve, and I think I just shut down the computer and called it a day after maybe a couple of minutes.
I guess that's part of it, a little bit of a learning curve. All right, Catanzaro moving up to the front here as well. You can also see on the left side of your screen that list of riders is basically showing the current running order. It's moving around a lot right now because these guys are still in pretty much a big group. So that's really just going to give us an idea of who's in here. I'm not really using it to worry too much about the position that they're in because that could change very rapidly in this group.
62 riders at a start. That's great, I think, for just a in real life race for the men. This is a good peloton.
Yeah, a lot of riders are trying to get some experience because next weekend USA Cycling is hosting their Esports World Championship qualifier on RGT. So I think a lot of riders are using this opportunity to kind of brush up on their RGT racing ahead of qualifiers next weekend.
Yeah, and Swart out there giving it another shot, and why not?
Yeah, so just like real life bike racing, Lauren, if you're not a good sprinter and you don't want this one to come down to a field sprint, your only play is really to try and split this, right? Try and get a split going off the front. Swart's trying to take someone with him, but it's not looking great for poor Mike on the front right now.
Yeah, and then you're going to be out there for a bit and just kind of use up some of that energy. And yeah, and then you kind of second guess, like, am I going to be able to put out this much effort for another 26 laps? I don't know. So either somebody come across and give me some help, or I'm going to fade back.
We'll see how long Swart, well, not long, Usborne going to take over now. Hodges will get there as well. You're seeing a lot of the same guys, right, that want to try and get something going. So that tells me that there is a handful of riders in here that are interested in trying to split this and trying to, you know, take the party away from the sprinters. And there is certainly a luck element to that sprint as well. I mean, there's some gambling involved, let's say, if you let this come down to a 20 or 30 rider field sprint. Simons having a good go off the front here. Remember, the Above and Beyond Cancer team already sent one with Matt Usborne rolling away earlier. And now it's Grant Simons trying to give it a go. Man, this is really tough. If you don't get it, I think so. I think they definitely had a plan. And I'm guessing after what happened last year, it involved not having a sprint because that is just too tough to time in a group that big. So yeah, I think they wanted to split this one as quickly as possible. It looks like Simon's going to hold on to this effort, but again, he needs some help.
It's going to be a long morning for him otherwise. You know, that's probably got to be another factor to take in for e-racing is where everybody is located as far as time zones and time of day. And it's a little early here in Colorado to be online and chipper and hopefully calling a race. But, you know, I also think about, you know, you're kind of East Coast, and so maybe you've been up for a little bit, or maybe you've already done some weights, and some of these guys are already prepped. But, yeah, that's got to be a factor as well, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, last year we had to adjust some of our start time so that the European riders had a fair shake at it. We had so many European riders in the ERL last year that they were like, look, I'm tired of waking up at 4 in the morning to do these races. So we're able to adjust some start times to make it a little more fair for everybody. But
Nice.
yeah, that's another part of virtual racing. Sometimes you're racing at night, sometimes you're racing in the morning, sometimes you're racing in the garage, in the kitchen. Sometimes it's just wherever has the fastest Wi-Fi. That's part of racing, the virtual racing too, and a lot of riders learned this lesson last year. But just like the prep that goes into real life racing, the making sure your bike is in good working order, tightening your cleats, making sure your bag is all laid out the night before. Same applies to virtual racing, but it's just a different list of things that you have to take care of before the race. Making sure your Wi-Fi is good, making sure you know the login for the virtual course that you have to get in, making sure you know the Zoom password to get in the room. Imagine telling yourself 10 years ago that these were things you'd have to worry about as a bike racer, Lauren.
I wouldn't have made it. There's no way. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I definitely know. Look, I'm way better with just real tangible things, but this is such a great platform, and I'm just excited that we do have it. And God bless you for having the patience to help me get all this set up yesterday and today. Thank you.
You are a pro through and through. The other cool thing about this platform, and the thing that I think makes RGT shine, is the ability to ride real-life courses. So if you're going to ride a race this year, let's say you're going to try and do Joe Martin Stage Race, or you're going to go to Tour of the Gila, this is a chance to ride those exact courses. And the elevation gain in real life is translated onto the game. So you'll see the resistance change as you go up and down hills, just like real life. So awesome opportunity to kind of recon a climb. If you're wondering just how difficult that Gila Monster climb is at Tour of the Gila, well, you can go take a look on RGT.
I do remember that when I was racing, a lot of my teammates would go back to years past and look at data, and if they could find that they would definitely come data. Match that in training or kind of miss that in training. I would also do that with national championships because we always had the hill. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was basically a 2.5 to 3 minute effort, and we did the 9 laps. So my coach would have me doing a 2.5 or 3 minute effort on a very similar hill to mimic that race. So yeah, like you said, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, if there's a specific target that you're training for, being able to put that into RGT, and anyone can upload any GPX file, any course they want. They can give it a shot on RGT. So yeah, awesome training tool for riders looking to do some in real life racing in 2021, I guess 22. Griffin sitting on the front, group still together. That's going to be the name of the game, I think, for most of the day today. A lot of riders just trying not to get kicked out of the back of this group here. I think if you're just sort of brushing off your virtual racing skills this season, you might use this opportunity to just kind of chill a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like it's just been attack and then reshuffle these first couple of laps. So I think there's still some settling in that needs to happen, or going to happen.
It's really a race, I think, off the back. I mean, I think it's just about making a selection. You saw how big that group was at the finish in our recap of last year. Same story. That one started with 60, 70 riders, and it was down to 20 by the end of it. So it's really more about riders popping off the back, I think. Now, this is why it's so hard to get away. You saw where Griffin went into that corner. It kind of, even the avatar sits up and stops pedaling when they go through those corners, because it's trying to simulate the fact that, well, you can't take a corner at 35 miles an hour in real life. So you're not going to do that on the RGT platform either. So a lot of this is just knowing when to let off, when to get back on that power. There is a sort of logarithmic curve, I guess, associated with it, and there's a right time and a wrong time to stop and start pedaling on RGT. Just like in real life.
You can't take a corner at 35 miles an hour? What's wrong with you?
You can try. I've tried a couple times. It didn't go well. 33 is my limit.
You know the.
Depends what the tire pressure is. Usborne back on the front. Here's Bauer going to give it a go up the right side here. Again, Above and Beyond Cancer is really driving this one today. They've been super aggressive on the front. We saw a few attempts to try and get away, and then Next Esports is also putting a lot of riders up on the front here. So we'll see if these guys put more of these white, yellow, and green jerseys. This is a draft racing jersey on the front now. The red jersey is a draft racing for 2021-22. Cadiz taking a look here. So hard to get a split on RGT. You almost need 4 or 5 riders together on the same page. Like, see how Hodges goes up the left side here? If Cadiz could have been sort of on that train or on that effort, they would have been able to kind of leapfrog away. So it almost takes more than one rider to try to get a breakaway on this course.
And also, I also wonder if some of these guys are kind of doing like the shuffle of wanting to move up and be closer to the front, and maybe their time is coming up on a couple they have a specific lap or an effort that they want to give it a go. You know, I wonder if that's what it is too, and then that shuffle, just you can't quite tell where you're going to fall back into place.
And there's a look at Hodges in his pain cave, which appears to be the garage. Took a little look off the front and then came back in. You can see Hodges already looking a little gassed here. We're 15 minutes into this one, and anytime you got the mouth hanging open like that, that tells me that there was a pretty serious effort up to this point, Lauren.
Yeah, and then also you can see a couple of towels there. You go through towels pretty fast sitting on the trainer. I don't know. I think he's just, this is just race face. I don't know that he's necessarily hurting too bad. He's not feeling good, that's for sure, but I think this is a good look. Come on, give him some credit here.
All right. He is riding at the front of the race here, so I guess you got to give him some credit there. You see Hodges hovering in the middle of the group in his XXX racing kit. It's interesting to see that he gets out of the saddle when he's trying to close down gaps. Now, what he's doing is watching this screen in the upper left-hand corner. Now, Feldhaus, your leader right now, is not going to show any advantage because he's not drafting off of anybody. But in the game, when you get behind a rider, the game will tell you if you need to close the gap to maximize your draft, and it'll tell you how much you need to close it. It'll say, you need to move up 4 meters or whatever it is to try and get in that draft as Hodges goes again. So that's why you were seeing Hodges standing up so much. What he was doing was closing those gaps to make sure that he was sort of getting the maximum return on his drafting each time. And now he's going to go again solo off the front. This guy really wants to get away from the group.
That's awesome. I love when the numbers just turn to red and he's doing like 8 watts per kilo. Yeah, now I want to see his face. Now he's giving it.
Oh, this is causing a little bit of a split at the front here. I think guys finally starting to get tired up at the front. Now Hodges going to be working through some lap traffic. That's what he saw up just ahead of them. A lot of the same names here. Usborn, Cundiff. Remember, these were the guys that we saw going off the front earlier. So it's pretty easy to tell in this group, Lauren, who the guys that are interested in a breakaway are and who the guys that want this one to come down to a sprint are.
Yeah, and teams as well. And somebody we haven't seen much of just yet is the Project Echelon crew. And I just, are they buying their time? I have my eyes on those guys. So, yeah, nice video of Matt right now. Look at that dude. Look like he's not having a problem at all.
Yeah, he looks comfortable as ever. Frankie Andrei last year dubbed Matt Usborn's riding Pain Cave Cell Block X. He's kind of in this gray concrete backdrop. He's actually on his balcony, I think in Vancouver, if I'm correct. I think he's up in BC.
You think anybody downstairs is cheering him on from the street? Like, come on, Matt!
Sarnecki taking a look up on the front here. Cool to see so many international riders in this field. You see on the left-hand side of the screen the running order. A lot of different flags represented here. Cool opportunity to race against riders that you normally wouldn't get to race against.
Yeah, the diversity of e-racing is limitless.
Lauren, are you hearing, if you're hearing Damon and Emma talk, make sure number 1 is deselected on the top. All right, so the split's continuing to come up here on the front. Getting a good look at Dowd from Restart Racing. Top 10 in this race last year. In fact, 10th place on last year's results. And there is Oliver in his pain cave right by the window. Got some nice natural light.
I love that we can also analyze where they are in time and in their home. Like that's even just another great aspect of e-racing. It's really fun.
That's the best part of virtual racing to me. I always wondered what your living room looked like when you were a pro racer. I would always see you race and I wonder what her living room looks like. And now I know.
Nothing.
Revel trying to take a little look off the front here again. Again, Lauren, I'm seeing a lot of strong efforts, but I'm not seeing any like concerted efforts. I'm not seeing any groups working together here.
Yeah, I think we had a shot a couple laps ago, but yeah, so far it's just now I think they're kind of shuffling them back in again, and I don't know, first race of the year, kind of getting those ebbs and flows and kind of trying to find that equilibrium.
Here's Dowd back in the red zone here. You can also see the current wattage that the riders are doing in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. That is showing the wattage of the rider that we're following. So Dowd doing about 400 watts right now. Lauren, on average, where is 400 watts in the range of wattage for someone at home that's not familiar with what a high wattage is? What's your maximum wattage, and what would be a good wattage or a hard wattage to kind of stay at for a sustained period of time?
That's a great question, Brad, but the hard part to answer that is it's usually based on your weight. So where I weigh 125, 130, putting out 400 watts for me is going to be significantly harder than somebody, say, that's 160, 170, 200 pounds. Like that's just an easier effort for them. So wattage is kind of hard to quantify with some of these athletes. So I usually look at watts per kilo that we see a lot of right there by their name, because that's going to give you a more indicator of how hard they're actually having to push themselves based on their weight and based on their power output that they can put out. So yeah, so it's a hard measurement just looking at power solo, but yeah, watts per kilo for sure is where you're gonna see the effort really play in for that individual.
Yeah, and again, you can see those watts per kilo to the right of the rider's name on the left-hand side of the screen. You can also see the current watts per kilo of the rider that we're following in the upper left-hand corner as well, and then you can obviously see the raw wattage up in the very far upper left-hand corner. Here's Project Echelon's Zach Nair up in here. Zach is another experienced e-racer, writes articles on the topic for a variety of cycling outlets, also races virtually with a couple squads. Zach is probably one of the best e-racers in the country.
I also like his focus right now. Yeah, he looks pretty steady on the bike. Just a steady effort, not easy, not hard, just rolling right along in the group like we're seeing on the right-hand side.
Zach is also a coach. I have to imagine having a coaching background in virtual racing is a big advantage, because so much of this is about really just maximizing your performance, right? I mean, you can't really sneak your way into a good ride in virtual racing. You can't just ride in the group or just have good bike handling skills to get you to the line in virtual racing. A lot of it is based on that sort of raw data and power, and what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah, coaching to me the numbers part can be totally black and white, super easy, hit the numbers, check your boxes. But then there's also the mental side of coaching that, I can't imagine. I do have a coach still who's also basically my psychologist as well. So, you got to take in those factors. These guys sitting in their house, or there may be kids running around. Those are distractions from racing. But, it's supposed to be fun. And this is a great stress reliever, too, is to ride your bike and race your bike. So, I think Zach's got a good quantifiable look on things.
Explain to me more about what a coach does, because it's more than just teaching you how to be a better bike rider. I mean, how do you coach someone to be a better racer?
coaching is so much more than just, hit these numbers, check the box. That is a huge piece of it, but the other aspect is life. I mean, we're human beings, and we have so much more going on in our world than just hitting these numbers. There's stress, there's food, there's sleep, there's life, there's work, and so there's that aspect of it as well. And some coaches are really good at that, and some aren't. And some prefer to do that, and some prefer to just pass you on to a sports psychologist per se. But I have been lucky enough to find a couple of coaches that can manage me in all aspects. I think I'm pretty easygoing individual, and just kind of lay it out there. Just put the truth out there. What's going on in life? Because if you don't let them know, then they don't know how to coach you, or they don't know how to change your workout based on maybe you didn't sleep good the last 3 nights because you have a sick baby at home. So, these are things, and these are things that coaches work through, and that's why you pay good money for a good coach. Jaden's got a nice setup here. Lots of national championship jerseys in the background. I see a Climbers jersey back there. That's Dairyland back there.
There is, Tour of America's Dairyland. Stage winner, Category 2 winner, and amateur winner. So we actually, I first met Jaden Yeager when he was a Category 3 rider. He went from 3 to pro in 1 year. He went from he won the Category 3s 1 year, and then was back racing in the Pro 1-2 field the next year. Not just racing in it, but really riding at the front and mixing it up. Now he spends a lot of time in the Masters races. He'll do the Masters 1, 2, 3, 35-plus races at races like Tour of America's Dairyland. But this guy's progression from amateur to like high-level bike racer happened at Tour of America's Dairyland. So I know he is super psyched for tomorrow's stop of the Echelon Racing League.
That's really cool. And I mean, Tour of America's Dairyland is 10 days of bike racing
10
back
days.
to back. So,
yep.
You have a chance to try and try again if you fail.
Yeah, one of the best places to learn how to become a better bike racer, because it's the ability to apply that learning the very next day, right? When you learn something in a race, and then you get to go practice it 12 hours, 20 hours later, something like that. Zach Nair back on the front. There is a little bit of a split here. Let's call this 5 guys up here. You can see the distance on the left-hand side of the screen. It shows the distance between the riders and the next rider in front of them. So it looks like 6th and 7th place is where that split really is. Back to Simons, who's going to come across, but looks like this one's coming back together.
Yeah, just like real-life racing, though. I mean, that's the shuffle and the effort, and give it a try and see what shakes out and see who's gone out too hard too fast. Never know.
And you can already see some stragglers off the back. Here's a look at Scott Catanzaro. He's got a nice setup here for the next esports insured team. I like they got a little branding going on.
That's smart. That's really smart. Are you a headband wearer? Or are you a hat wearer when you're on the trainer? What is
a trainer?
How does he keep his glasses on?
I think these guys have a sponsorship with the Gooder Sunglasses Company. They're like affordable, easy to wear.
Gooder are the best.
Yeah,
They're
I got a pair too. I really like them. Yeah.
Nice.
I've lost 2, and I'm still not upset about it.
Right. You're out $50. Come on.
Well, Catanzaro got his work cut out for him as watching a small group rolling away up the front. See the earpiece in Catanzaro's ear as well. He might be listening to music, but a lot of riders, Lauren, are going to be on Discord as well, communicating with their teammates like you talked about, the team effort. No doubt in my mind, Above and Beyond Cancer has a plan, and they're on Discord. I know Project Echelon is commuting on Discord as well. We're going to be getting a chance to listen into some of those later on in the season here, but just like real life racing, if you can get everyone together and on the same page, you can be really deadly on RGT.
Again, another learning curve for me. Discord is something new, but yeah, you're right. It's just like having an earpiece or radio with your team manager, watching the crit unfold, and can kind of give you a play-by-play, and you need to move up or watch this person, or this is what we think is going to happen, or somebody's looking really strong, or like you said, somebody's off the back. So, yeah, having Discord and having that teamwork aspect is crucial in crit racing.
I'm going to take a stab at analyzing Mike Swart's pain cave here. I see a Hollander Benelux jersey behind him, the orange and blue. If you've never been to Milwaukee, you got to go to Café Hollander when you go. It is one of the coolest Belgian beer bars. It also happens to be right on the start-finish line of the great Downer Avenue bike race. The Downer Avenue Crit there is part of the Tour of America's Dairyland. So the Café Hollander jerseys are a staple of racing in Wisconsin. So I think that's his maybe road jersey, and then obviously with the Restart Racing Squad for the virtual world.
Hey, I'm down for any brewery. Sign me up. Have me out. Let's go. Also, you'll notice his laundry line right there. So maybe he's somewhere near the laundry room.
I think it's a garage. I'm not sure. It looks like there's like this kind of plaster board or concrete board behind the jerseys. I'm not sure. But you got to have a good drying rack, that's for sure. If you're going to do a lot of indoor training, there is a lot of sweat generated when riding on the trainer. I think that's a shocker to a lot of new riders that come on the trainer. They're like, where is all this sweat coming from? I don't sweat this much on the road, but it's just something about riding on the trainer. That's why you see so many riders with headbands and, as you said, plenty of towels available.
Do we have a group of 2 or 3 right there? One getting dropped and 2 off the front now?
Yeah, it looks like a couple trying to escape here. See if we can pick those 2 up. Dowd and Bickley going to get away here. And looks like these guys are cooperating pretty well. You notice that they're riding really close together. Here's Will Harden trying to come across the gap as well. And now Bickley going to sit on the front and do some tempo setting. All right, so this is a good-looking group of 3. These guys definitely have it figured out. There's Bickley, your lead rider, the full gas jersey on the front. So it's Bickley, Dowd, and Harden, I think, the 3 working together right now. And I say they're working together because they rode into that single-file line so quickly. And now this is going to be one of the next esports riders flying past him. Payne Griffin is like, hey, you guys work together. I'll be up here. Goodbye, Payne.
Yeah, totally. Just did a massive counterattack right there.
That's a cute pace line, boys. I'll be up here. So now Griffin back on the front here as he's going to be joined by Simons. But I think Payne Griffin knew. He was like, look, I've done this before, guys. It's got to be a bigger jump than that. You got to come stronger than what you're doing right now. And he was right because, look, they're about to get caught in this group.
Yeah, he's still out there giving her, knowing to sit up in the corners. And, yeah, he's not don't let off the gas, Griffin. Let's go.
This guy must be a terrible sprinter to want to get a split that badly.
Doing his part for his team. He reshuffled, probably
absolutely.
made things pretty hard on everybody just then. So
100%. There are now 3 guys at the front of that race that are pretty gassed, and well, Payne Griffin is not high on their Christmas card list right now, let's say. Looks like there has been a selection at the back. I think we're down to maybe 30-something riders remaining in contention here from our 60-something starters. So already we are starting to lose riders off the back here. Good look at Will Harden right here, who has been up in the mix a lot today. See Usborne surging up through. A lot of the same jerseys up the front. Seeing a lot of Above and Beyond Cancer, a lot of draft racing, a lot of Next Esports. I think I just saw a Team Tour 2000 jersey rocketing up the right side as well, as now Jaden Yeager takes another look off the front here.
Yeah, these guys have been on the attack, I feel like, all morning. Either just to kind of try and soften up the field for their sprinter or to try and get something and just be aggressive and take their chances up the road. I like these guys and their racing style for sure.
Jaeger perfectly cut out for virtual racing. We talked about his national championships. One of them is a Masters time trial national championship in the very competitive 35 to 39 age category. Lauren, I know you've been to some of those Masters national championships. The 35-39 age group is like, might as well be a Pro 1-2 race in most parts of the country. I mean, the talent in that age group is still really, really strong. So to win a time trial national championship out of that age group in 2021, pretty impressive for Jaden Jaeger.
No doubt. Yeah, I've gone and watched some of these Masters races. I will not participate because I don't want to train that hard anymore. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're just full on. It's elite racing. It's those that were at that level, retired or have a full-time job, or for whatever reason, chose to do the Masters race, which is so great. I love that aspect that is available for all of our athletes. Yeah, so that's pretty stellar that he is a national champion. That's no small feat.
And Jaeger did not, he didn't look too gassed watching him on that attack last time through. Certainly looked pretty comfortable on his way off the front. Good look at TJ McCall here, the Hugh Dog Racing team, working his way up through the group, just keeping an eye on the front. Now you see McCall here, as soon as he gets to the front, you'll see him let off because he doesn't want to be in that draft. He doesn't want to be one of those lead riders. In this game, you are rewarded for staying behind a rider. So in a platform like Zwift, you kind of just have to be in the group sort of to get the group effect, but you absolutely have to be behind another rider. So the riders will try and feather themselves when they get to the front. You want to be near the front, but not at the front. So they let off a little bit, and I think McCall's doing a very good job of that right now.
Yep, I remember one of the Belgian ladies I raced against, and she said that the saying is, your face wants to see the sun, not the wind. something along those lines, I'm pretty sure. It's like, don't be.
It was in Flemish. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe she was telling me something else that I probably shouldn't repeat. All
right, guys, still together here as we move our way back up through the front. Still seeing some red power zones just to stay in the group here, especially at the back. So these are riders that are starting to struggle to hang on here, struggle to stay in the group as these guys start to lift the tempo at the front. So it is starting to happen. The cracks are starting to form. You can see how the shape of the group has changed a little bit here from our helicopter aerial view here, Lauren. It was pretty much going fence to fence earlier in the day, but things starting to spread out a little bit now.
Yeah, for sure. You know, when you start going to the back and having to make an effort through every corner, and you can see you're slowing down as they're speeding up through the corner, that's never quite a good sign. So, will these guys, I just wonder, will they just keep rolling around just for the effort, or will they completely just shut the computer down? What do they do? Like, do you get pulled off the course?
I'm not sure what the protocol is when you rage quit or get dropped. I know once you leave the game, you disappear from the virtual world, so we may lose some riders throughout the day here. Well, they do keep lapped riders on the course, though, unlike real life racing. At least here in the U.S., they leave the lapped riders out there, so you may see them working through some lap traffic.
Can I just say I like Timmy's setup so much, but I'm also very curious about his number plates 145. Is that yeah. BMX or is that moto?
Timmy does everything. This guy is a bike racer through and through to the core. Timmy is one of the most fun guys that you will ever meet at a bike race. Cross, mountain bike, road. I had a chance to meet him. I actually met him in the virtual world for the first time in the Echelon Racing League. And then he came out with the squad to some races like Tour of America's Dairyland. They did Intelligentsia Cup as well. So I got to meet Timmy in real life last year at some of our in real life races. And, yeah, dude loves racing his bike, and dude knows how to have a good time. That's for sure.
That's living life.
And he's got a good disco setup going on as well in the basement. He's wearing gloves.
You know, I have found that riding the trainer or participating in these events when you kind of want a cold room, but the problem is and you've got the fan going, so because like we were talking earlier, you're sweating so much. The problem is that your extremities get cold, like your head starts to get cold because of all the sweat, and then your hands are, like I've seen Ted and Laura King start off in jackets and beanie caps and gloves, and I've definitely had to wear gloves. But so yeah, or you sweat so much that you don't have much of a grip on the bars. So there could be a couple of different reasons for that. But you want a cold room, which equals cold hands for me anyway. Maybe that's his case.
Yeah. No, very interesting. Trying to keep the core temperature down, right? You want to keep the engine running cool. Everyone has their own setup. I think that's why Usborne rides outside. I think that's why he was out on his balcony, trying to keep it a little cooler. All right, still trying to take a look off the front. Zach Nair putting in another little attack here from Project Echelon. Hogman going to go with him. Harden is still there as we continue racing here, coming up on 40 minutes into this one. They've got about 10K to go. We're going to take a short break here as these guys get into their final laps of racing. We'll keep an eye on this attack from Zach Nair, see if that one sticks, and we'll be right back after this in the Echelon Racing League. Welcome back, group of two. Rolling off the front, we saw Zach Nair taking a look at this before we went to break. He has since been joined by Jaden Yeager. So Restart and Project Echelon taking a look off the front here, and no surprise to see Zach Nair trying to go clear here. This is one of the premier esports racers in the country right now, and certainly a guy who knows a little something about laying down some power. So Nair and Yeager together, boy, this one is dangerous, Lauren.
Brad, can I just throw out a suggestion for the Echelon Racing League that they need to have some sort of button to say, hey, you want to work together? Yeah, let's go. throw out a, hey, we look at each other like, I see you, you see me, let's go. Head bob, something.
There is a in-game chat, so the riders can chat with each other in the race. The problem is everybody can see the chat, so it's not as confidential, I guess, as you would have the chance
Right.
to do in real life. So, yeah, everyone's going to know what you're doing. Looks like they got a couple more with them. Catanzaro is getting up there. Now, Millam is a lapped rider. You see him at 52nd place right there. So he's just trying to tack onto the back. This is a group of 3. Catanzaro has now joined. So Nair, Jaeger, and Catanzaro going clear here at 7.3K remaining. So we are getting down to it. And this is going to be one of the last big moves of the day here, Lauren. They are out of time to get a split going. So I think it's either this or a field sprint today.
I agree. This looks pretty good if Canizaro pulls through, but again, like, you just can't quite tell, like, are they really working together, or are we kind of just going to sit up, or, you want to see each other's faces. Yeah, maybe they could look at each other on Zoom.
It looks like Catanzaro is trying to stick with Nair here. See how he lets off just before passing Nair? He doesn't want to get in front of Zach yet. And then when they get up to Jaeger, he will jump into the draft.
Yeah,
so the important thing is that... Yeah, the important thing is that they stay together, which is easier said than done. Again, without any, immediate verbal communication or anything like that, it's hard to adjust the corners, right? Because it's really easy to sort of explode out of the corner or overcompensate coming out of the corner. And so keeping everyone together is really, really tough on the front here. They are getting some more riders. Davenport is coming up, so these guys are not getting the separation that they were looking for.
Yeah, I think they had a little bit of it, but I think people noticed that too, and said it's just going to get strung out, and there's going to now be a couple of counterattacks. If I was a betting person, who knows? But that's what I would do if I was out there racing and trying, because it's been separated now. Everything's been hard since those guys attacked, and it's strung out. So yeah, everybody's hurting when you catch those guys. That's like the knife, the dagger in the coffin, in the back, whatever the saying is, but like, that's where you got to go. Yeah, you hurt too, but so does everybody else. Like, this is where it matters.
Well, and this is the difference, because Zach Nair is going to go again. You see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, he is redoubling his efforts. You saw Jaden Jaeger was kind of sitting back. He was looking a little more relaxed. I think Jaeger had resigned to the fact that it's going to be tough to get away on this course. Zach Nair has not thrown in the towel yet. Big red zone effort from Nair here on the front. Now, it's not causing a split, but look what he is doing. Stringing this group out here at 5.6K to go. All of a sudden, if you were planning on sitting at 25th place and chilling until, the last couple kilometers, you got another thing coming here, because these guys are continuing to push tempo on the front.
Yeah, and Jaeger's job may have just been to cover and kill, just to represent. Who knows?
And there's a look at Bickley. Starting to look a little more gassed, but still looking good, focused.
See, he's wearing gloves too. See,
got the gloves too. Cold. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's in the garage here. We talked about the focus that we see on a lot of these Zoom cameras. The other thing with RGT, again, the drafting is so important. You really have to keep an eye on those gaps forming at all times, because it's so easy, just like real life racing, for one of those gaps to open up. And once you're out of that draft, it's really hard to get back into it. So the riders pay really close attention to the screen, because they want to make sure that they're always getting that maximum draft that they can. And again, the game will tell you when you can improve your drafting ability.
You know what I would do? I'd figure out that magic number of 3 meters, 4 meters, where I could let off to that point,
yep,
and then have to actually get back on. Like, how far can I stretch out this recovery time before I actually need to put in an effort to catch back up on that wheel?
The yo-yo method of drafting. Yeah. Meanwhile, Simon's taking a look off the front again. Another guy who has been very aggressive out there today for the Above and Beyond Cancer team.
Yeah, we saw him attack early on, and yeah, he's been out there a couple of times, hasn't he?
I think this is the guy that I said must have been a really terrible sprinter.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Simon's back into the red zone here. Doesn't seem like a lot of worry back in the field behind him. I think those guys are all kind of waiting for the sprint here at 3.9K to go.
if they just start inching towards him a little bit more and more, you know, just somebody else, are you going to do it? Are you going to go across? Or are you going to attack? And people just start going a little bit harder, and then they finally just catch him. Or somebody jumps across, or somebody makes the move and jump on their wheel. Like, that's, yeah. He's still giving her, though. Making him work for it.
Simon's not going to give up. This is definitely an all-in move for Grant Simons today.
Yeah, 3.5K left. You know, this is putting all your chips on the table right now and throwing down your cards. Either he's got somebody in the pocket that he's sprinting or going to be out there for, or hoping for the best for himself.
I think we are looking at the final moments of Simons on the front here, because that field is just waiting to swallow him up behind him. But Simon's going to stay in the red zone here. I love the effort.
One shot, all you got. Might as well take it. Let's go.
One shot, all you got. I like that.
Coin that. Where do I do? How do these NFTs work? Like, how do I?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to file that to copyright with the Announcers Union. We get a pick 6 every year that we all get a copyright. So you better get that one in. All right, down to 2.7K to go here on the front, as Morris taking a look on the front now. This is going to be some fresh legs from the Above and Beyond Cancer team. So I think they went through their sort of early workhorses on the front, that being Simons and probably Matt Usborne as well. And now they're going to start to throw it over to the sprinters, because this one looking more and more like this one's going to be a bunch gallop to the line. We heard Kevin Bouchard-Hall talking in his interview from last year about how you win a field sprint like this. He said it's really about trying it out. Every lap, you want to try and time that finishing sprint just right, because that's how you're going to end up winning. But the problem is you can't really time what everyone else is going to do. As we go inside 2 kilometers to go now, things really starting to heat up. Big efforts going to the front here. You're going to start to see a lot of new names up here as well. Hardin, an old name, one that we know well. Done a lot of riding on the front here for Project Echelon today.
Yeah, Will definitely throwing out a digger, and I just wonder, like, this pace is just, the speed is just going to continue to ramp up into that finish. And like you said, yeah, they've tried to time this sprint every lap, just like in real life. Like, that's what it's all about, is knowing, trying to have that gut feeling of when to go.
Slazy, Safarzada, Sarnecki up at the front here as well. Clace making his way up to the front. That was one of our draft picks being brought up from the Community League Racing. So Clace having a good ride here. Today, the Belgian getting up into the mix as we go inside 1.5 kilometers to go now. Still some separation up here. Safarzada going to go clear.
All in, committing 1.5K. 1K, yeah, he's that's it. This is his money.
Hey, talk about an all-in move. There's no turning back from this one. Now, draft racing may have some other riders back here. They're going to be ready to sprint. They got a guy named Bruce Bird in this race who had some good results in the Echelon Racing League last year. Haven't seen much of Bird today. We'll see if he makes his way towards the front here for the finishing sprint as they go inside. 1 kilometer to go. You're going to see the red flag. And then this one gets real interesting. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 more corners.
Look at all the red numbers. Oh, man. Yeah, they're giving her now. Let's go.
And now Safanzada going to get swallowed up. Payne Griffin going again on the front. Brad Bickley there as well. Catanzaro coming up into second position as they go inside 700 meters now. Three more turns after this. Payne Griffin stays in the red. Into the left-hander. We'll get a look from up above for the finish. There's Frank Cundiff getting picked up off the back. Griffin still on the front. Nair trying to surge ahead here. Hodges gets there, though, and will he hold on? I think he did. I think Brian Hodges.
I think he got it. Holy cow.
I think he did. Hold on for a win. Usborn going to go second. Jan Deca will go third. Morris holds on for fourth. And Ben Thomas in for fifth. Another familiar name here in the Echelon Racing League. Man, what a ride for Hodges out there today. Saw this guy on the front a lot today, Lauren. Very impressive ride to be able to get there at the end. Man, there are not many riders that can come back from that, but way to go, Brian Hodges.
Dude, he's been attacking all day, so a well-deserved win. Holy smokes, that was rad.
Well, you certainly got to take some gambles to make it work, right? And I think Hodges was the definition of that, taking gambles out there today, and in the end, it pays off. It was that one last gamble. I mean, I will say I think he won out of what is kind of a break out of that group. It wasn't really a sprint. He went from a long way out. That was not a bunch gallop to the line, so Hodges was able to flip the script on the Indy Crit this year, and the virtual Indy Crit with a little bit of a gap across the line. Way to go.
Those were all just openers. All those attacks were just openers for him. And to know, like you said, practice that sprint, and when is that going to happen? So, hey, maybe that's what he had. He knew exactly what he was doing the entire day. Who knows?
Lauren, the other thing is this is only an hour of racing. A lot of these guys are used to racing a 2, 3, 4 hour effort. If you've been training for that, you know, training like a road racer or training for road races, an hour-long effort on the trainer may seem relatively easy. I mean, I know you have to deal with all the accelerations and all that stuff, but it might not have been so bad.
Yeah, right. And then also the time of year, though, I kind of take that into account. Like, it's the holidays. Everybody's trying to relax, gain a little weight. So these guys are pinning it.
It's not easy to come back from a break of racing either. And then for a lot of riders, this is going to be kind of a weird overlap between the start and the finish of their season, right? They've kind of got the end of maybe a virtual a winter season going, and then already at this point, you're getting ready for spring riding. I mean, the training for those April, May, June races starts right now.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when it's a nice sunny day and when some of these guys can get outside, I don't know, again, where they live and what altitude they live at, but that is an important factor. And so maybe a couple of them warmed up already outside, and then you jump on your bike on the trainer. And who knows, just to get in those efforts. But, yeah, now's the time to start testing the legs a little bit, but not too much. These are fun races. This is great.
All right, we're going to see if we can grab a word with our race winner. Our media intern, Emma Watson, has Brian Hodges in Zoom.
Hello, everyone. I'm joined with the winner of the Indy Crit today, Brian Hodges. Congratulations on this win. How does this win feel? It's the first win of the season throughout the season. So how does it feel?
I'm pretty surprised, actually. It's a really strong field. And looking at who signed up, I thought there'd maybe be a breakaway there's like 5 or 7 really strong engines in there, so I just tried to stay up front, and just pretty surprised actually at the end there. I had good legs for the sprint though.
Yeah, it was a very persistent ride for you, especially at the end of the race. What was your mindset going into the last 5K?
Last 5K, just stay up front and but don't put my nose in the wind, just not go into the red, and then just have a little recharge in the last few turns to be able to put out a good sprint.
Awesome race for you today, Brian. Back to you guys.
Thanks.
Lauren Hodges knew. He said you got to make sure that you don't go inside those last 5K. So he had a plan today. He executed, and it worked out.
Yeah, it did really well, and then you kind of wonder, like, all right, now are you going to spin down a little bit? Because, coming straight off the trainer like that, his legs have to be loaded right now. Have a cool-down lap.
Yeah, I think a lot of riders will want to spend a little time on the trainer after this one to cool down as well. You also got to think about tomorrow. I mean, there is certainly an element of preparing for tomorrow starting today. If you've got 2 back-to-back races, cool down matters on a day like today.
Yeah, and like he was saying, it was a pretty stacked field, so I'm sure the efforts – definitely going to load up the legs a bit. So, he's going to cool down or do something, have a good stretch, and get a little recovery.
And then it'll be back to it tomorrow for the virtual Tour of America's Dairyland. That Grafton course that they're going to be racing on tomorrow is somewhat similar to today. It's got a lot of corners, so there's a lot of opportunity to accelerate and decelerate out of the corners. And I think if you do well today, you can do well again tomorrow. So Hodges got to be feeling good. There's certainly an element, Lauren, of being hot, right? When you're winning, it's a lot easier to win again on the second day.
Well, now he's got a target, right? I mean, nobody's going to let him up the road. They're going to be looking to him to do some work if there is a break up the road. So now he's got a target on his back. But, I mean, that's better. It's better to win and have the target than not and just be chasing the next thing.
It ain't easy being king, but I'm sure Hodges would not mind having a target on his back after getting a win today. So it'll be really interesting to watch how tomorrow plays out. A lot of riders in there right now are thinking, I was so close. I just need to change that one thing in the final sprint. I just need to go a little earlier, a little later. And like I was saying earlier, you can now apply that immediately the next day of racing. That's huge to learn that lesson and be able to go straight into it the next day.
Exactly. That's bike racing at its best, especially when it's back-to-back days like this, is you can try again tomorrow. So that's the beauty of the Echelon Racing League. And guess what? You'll get to do it again in 2 weeks also if you fail tomorrow. So yes, keep racing, keep trying. That's what it's about.
Plenty of learning opportunities. They can also race in the community race as well. A lot of riders have been doubling up the week before the pro race. Again, get a look at the course, figure out where that race is going to be won and lost, figure out where those important parts on the course are, and maybe try and pick a spot where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a great point, is doing the community race the week before and, like you said, seeing the course, and you can try different tactics, and if it doesn't work out, then you haven't really lost too much going into the pro race, right? So it's like a group ride training. That's at its best, but then you have some of the best community racers out there. So you may have a slightly different dynamic bit of racing, but yeah, that's just such a great opportunity for these guys.
That's part of the game, I guess, is trying to find out where you belong in that world as well. That was always a part to struggle with, trying to figure out which category you should be racing in, where you belong in the world. So the draft is a good way to figure that out, too, to sort of move the riders up from the amateur league that need to be racing in the pro league here.
Yeah, what an opportunity. Like you said, if they're all on Discord, and to have a couple of pro riders that have had that experience in your ear and just kind of give you a little bit of tips here and there and advice, that's huge. And it's just a in real life opportunity that you never know where some of the stuff is going to take you.
All right, let's take a look at how things shook out outside of our top 3 or top 5 today. I think we had a pretty good idea of where our podium ended up, but here's the rest. Hodges, Usborne, and Deca go 1, 2, and 3. Sam Morris will end up 4th place. Saw a lot of him on the front up there as well. Ben Thomas back for Season 2 in the Echelon Racing League, picking up 5th with Brad Bickley in 6th. Walter Clace, one of our draft pickups, in 7th, picking up a top 10 ride. Great ride for Walter. Mike Lister ends up in 9th. Lister in 8th. Will Harden will take 9th. And then William Zogaib in 10th place for the next eSport presented by Insured Team. Very cool to see Walter Clace up there in 7th. I think that might be my ride of the day, Lauren. Always cool to see a rider that just got called up to the big leagues have a good performance.
Yeah, like we were just talking about, having that opportunity to just give it a shot and yeah, make the most of it. Getting in the top 10, that's a great result.
All right, so as we wrap up our pro men's race, getting ready for pro women, paracycling and hand cycling up next. As we get into that, let's go back and look at how this one shook out for our pro women's field in Season 1 of the Echelon Racing League back in 2020. Same story here. It was a bunch gallop to the line in the virtual Indy Crit back in 2020. Big group hitting the line, but it ends up being a local rider from Indianapolis winning in the virtual Indy Crit. That was Arielle Coy, who found her way to the front of that group. A big thumbs up from her in only her 2nd virtual race.
Congratulations on the win. Welcome to virtual racing. How much
you.
experience do you have on the virtual platforms?
Not much. That was my 2nd time on RGT. I did start doing, my coach invited me to join his team for the Zwift World Racing League. And so I've been doing that, and that's kind of like my first actual like big racing with women, and it's been fun. But the RGT and Zwift platforms are very different.
Well, Coy figured it out last year, beating Jackie Godby, one of the few riders that had the honor of saying that they beat Jackie Godby in an Echelon Racing League race last year. Erin Ayala had a great ride as well, ending up third. Cheyenne Noble took a fourth place. Kirsten Pohl in fifth. You're going to see a lot of these same names back, as a lot of these riders will be returning, including Eleanor Wiseman down there in 10th from the Amy D Foundation. She got picked up by the Project Echelon squad for 2022 in Season 2. We're also going to see some new riders coming in from the draft. Same situation here. They had a draft that allowed teams to select riders from the Community Combine race. Emma O'Toole, the British rider, was picked up by Project Echelon first. Ann Schwarzenwalder from Triple X Racing also picked up. Urska Korent got the call up to the pro ranks with Faster Cyclists, and Sabrina Belisle also getting called up from the Velocity Vixen Racing team. So again, the awesome opportunity. And Lauren, we saw some of those draft winners up in the top 10 for our men's race, so I'll be looking for these 4 in our women's race.
Yeah, Brad, me too. Emma O'Toole is somebody that, I think she did well last weekend, and so to see her being picked up is pretty exciting. And then Jacqueline's coming back, so that's always going to be an interesting dynamic. And again, like we were talking about, bullseyes. She's definitely got her work cut out.
See some of our pro women riders and our paracycling and hand cycling riders in the Zoom room. Again, we're going to be checking on all 3 races throughout the day today as we keep track of all 3. Again, an honor to have paracycling and hand cycling in the 2022 Echelon Racing League. Really cool to be able to add that in. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on in the show here, because it is a really cool opportunity. Let's take a look at the front of our women's race underway right now, as they have just taken off the line. Surprise, surprise. Meet the old new boss, same as the old boss, Jackie Godby, back up to her old tricks on the front here.
Just going for it right now. Or maybe she just knew to go off the line, like we were talking about in the men's race. You got to start out going hard, and she's picked this up from last year and knows what to do. So, go ahead and set that bar very high, Godby. This is great. I love it. Let's go.
Well, this is a familiar view that a lot of riders are going to have to get used to seeing if Godby keeps riding the way that she did last year, and that being the back of Jackie Godby's virtual character, as Godby is not afraid to win solo. She's not afraid to attack. She's not afraid to make big moves. And if anyone can support those rides, it's Jackie Godby. So this is a very dangerous rider on the front right now. There are a lot of riders panicking in this field going, oh, no, not this woman again, not Godby again.
She's already created a split in the peloton. Those in the back are definitely going to be scurrying to catch back on, and that's a tough spot to be in as an athlete, is to know from the gun, it hurts already, I've got to catch up. It's a mental crack right off the start line.
That's, I think, a big part of Godby's success is just breaking the mental spirit of so many riders early on. She's certainly not afraid to go early, go often, and go hard. It looks like she's going to be doing the same thing out there today. Going to keep a nice group with her, though. Looks like Godby letting off just a little bit here into the green zone, so she's going to relax a little bit now. And now there are a lot of riders saying, thank God, Jackie has finally relaxed. And
then she hits it through the corner to move up in position, maybe, or just kind of set the standard, set the bar. This is how fast I want to go all day. Either sit here with me or make me go harder.
Yeah, talk about separating the wheat from the chaff here. Godby's going to figure this one out pretty quickly and see who wants to go with her. Scalo going to get up there. The German rider having a little look here, saying, look, you're not the only big name in town.
I'm not afraid to go hard either. Let's go. Huh. And then the rest of the group back there is like, hey, so if we don't get them now, they're going to be gone the rest of the day. We need to work together here. Close this gap.
Yeah, now is the time to go here for sure. Skalou hanging out up here. This is actually a really good ride to stay on Jackie Godby's wheel. Very impressive.
You know, I wonder if Jackie will just let her sit there for the entire race. You know, Jackie obviously is going to be one that's not going to want a field sprint, and that she can stay out there no problem all day. But yeah, I wonder if Skalou will be allowed to stay back there, or if hey, let's work together.
Yeah. Well, Godby may be like, finally someone that can ride with me, right? Someone that can ride on my level. Maybe we can try and work something out here, work together. So this may be a harbinger of things to come this season. Jackie Godby may have finally met her match in Skalou here. We'll see how long they can stay together, because many riders have been in this same position that Skalou is in right now, riding with Jackie Godby, and we think maybe they'll be able to hold on. Look at the difference in wattage. Godby's doing like 4 watts per kilo. Skalou is holding a steady like 6 watts per kilo. I guess that's just because she was, huh? Yeah, right, just riding on the front. And then you see Godby take over doing 6. But see, Skalou took a little too long to close down that gap, so she had to go into the red zone to close that back up.
And I think there's plenty of women in the peloton that can probably sit with Jackie and maybe pull through some, but I think she just took them by surprise at the start of this race, and now they're kind of just chasing the remnants right now. So it's like I said, I think there's plenty of women back here that are strong enough to be up there, but they're a bit surprised, I would say.
A lot of riders back in this field, too, I would imagine, in a real-life race would be talking right now about how they all need to cooperate to bring back Jackie Godby, but that's, I think, a given at this point.
Channel right now.
Right.
Let's all turn to Channel 3 and have a quick discussion on how we're going to bring this back.
Although, I don't know that a discussion would do much good in this scenario. I think you just got to throw a bunch of watts at the problem and hope that you can bring it back.
I like that. Throw a bunch of watts at the problem. That's that may be able to solve it.
Well, Godby's got plenty of watts to throw at it as well. Looks like one rider trying to bridge up. It's going to be Ronkkinen. Into the gap in third. I think probably realizing, yeah, I think these two up the road might have an idea of what they're doing, so I'm going to try and get on that train. I would say it's now or never. I think that you see it's 180 meters right now up to the 2 leaders. That's probably only getting bigger as this day goes on. So I would say if you've got the legs to go across the gap, you might as well go now. And I think that's what Ayala is trying to do here. That's what Bonacisi is going to try and do. These riders know what they have to do. I hate to armchair quarterback these riders and say just go across the gap and get up to the leaders, because I couldn't do it, but I know I'm asking them to do it as an announcer.
Yeah, it's so easy. You guys just go on and catch them. But no, you're right. If they don't do it now, you know, everybody has pretty much fresh legs, I would guess. And if you don't do it now, it's just going to get worse. So go ahead, make the commitment, close the gap, shut it down. Know that she's going to do it again. But yeah, if you don't work together and try and establish some sort of group think to get that group, those two back, then it's not going to happen.
Ayala trying to have a go now. There's a look at Erin in her pain cave. And I think Ayala is part of that group that's just trying to get everyone on the same page. Saying, all right, let's not start attacking each other until we deal with the 2 problems that we have up the road right now. That gap is growing. They're up over 200 meters ahead of this group now. Triple X putting someone else up on the front. Maybe going to try and control tempo a little bit. Looks like Erin's got some snacks on the left-hand side. Couple bottles, maybe 1 drink mix, 1 water.
Hey,
I'm not sure if those are chews or... Yeah, what are they?
Oh, you're probably right. You know what I was going to say was like the peanut butter filled pretzels.
that was going to be my second guess. It's kind of tough to tell on Zoom here, but yeah, they might, maybe a little salt be good for you in the race. I'm not sure.
Sounds good to me. I need a couple of those right now.
I guess that would be a lot of chews for an hour-long race, so that would be a lot of caffeine. Let's go with peanut butter pretzels. Maybe we'll ask her if she wins. We'll We'll see what was fueling Aaron Ayala out there today.
Funny fact.
I know Jackie Godby. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I coached Erin back in Chicago at a women's clinic and then at a race. I'm pretty sure that's her. So I'm pulling for Erin. Yeah. Let's go.
Yep, Erin is part of that Wisconsin, Illinois racing community. Tour of America's Dairyland, Intelligentsia Cup, all that stuff. So, yeah, very good chance that you would have run across her in Chicago.
And she
Here's
was
look at Emma O'Toole. Yeah. British rider picked up by Project Echelon this year. A new signing for them.
Giving it the stare down right now. I feel like she's looking through my soul.
I'm not sure what she's looking at. I guess she has the game on this screen. I guess she has the game on the same screen that Zoom is doing. Most riders put it in front of them. I'm not sure why she is has the screen up and to the left. But you can see how intently she's watching it, right? You have to close down those gaps. And again, ride as efficiently as possible. You really can't take your eyes off that screen.
Yeah, no doubt, especially knowing the smallest of gaps, just increases your wattage effort. So, yeah, you're going to stay on the wheels as best you can.
Back to Godby and Skalou up at the front. Continue to grow their lead, up over 300 meters now, back to third place. These two definitely going to stick together for as long as they can today. And I'm thinking we're going to get used to seeing this screen a lot. So Skalou and Godby locked in here for sure. They definitely have an interest in trying to stay together. I think if either one of them wanted to drop the other one, they probably could have at this point, but we haven't really seen any big attacks from these two. So get used to seeing that and get used to seeing this whole group trying to either sort out third place or worry about what's going on up the road. Lauren, at what point do you say, all right, first and second are gone, I have to start worrying about how to win third place now? I mean, how do you decide when to sort of flip in your mind that you're no longer chasing and you're now racing for third?
Not for a while. There's so much that could happen in racing. There's 33K to go. You're still kind of, I must say, you're still riding into the race right now. So you have to keep the effort on. You have to keep everybody mentally into this game. That positive, we can do this as a group, a collective group. We're stronger than these two up the road. Like, we have to make this effort because bike racing, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, it's a bit more planned and virtual because they're not going to have a flat tire, they're not going to crash, but you just have to keep the pressure on. And I'd say almost up until 5K to go, then you kind of start thinking, well, all right, well, that's gone. And you monitor your effort, and hey man, use it as training. What's wrong with that too? Like, let's just make this a hard day anyway, instead of just rolling around. Like, let's race our bikes. Let's go hard. Let's make this an hour worth of racing, because it's a long season.
Like you said, there's a lot that can happen before the end of this race. And let me assure you, there are absolutely mechanicals in virtual racing. Wi-Fi drops out, you lose power, the Bluetooth connection drops, your computer dies, you run out of battery on your head unit, whatever it is. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in virtual racing. If you lose that connection, if you lose a connection to the game, you're out. There's no getting back into this race. It's kind of like taking a free lap. You get like a minute to get things fixed, and if you're not reconnected by then, you're out of this race. So things can absolutely go wrong in virtual racing.
All right.
It's like the equivalent of a flat tire, I guess. You can't really control when your Wi-Fi is going to drop out. It kind of randomly affects, some people. It seems to affect some more than others. But, yeah, sometimes you just get a little bit of bad luck. Maybe your dog chews the cable.
It's so cool to see this paracycling happening. This is something new to me, so I'm kind of taking this in and really appreciating what's happening here. This is awesome.
Well, paracycling, one of the new additions of RGT and the Echelon Racing League. We've been doing a lot of para and hand cycling with Echelon Racing League and RGT over the last few years, but they're making some big commitments and big changes to the paracycling and hand cycling opportunities, including adding our paracycling and hand cycling races to our pro weekends here in Season 2 of the Echelon Racing League. So looking at Kilgore on the front of our paracycling competition here. A lot of work with the PVA, the Paralyzed Veterans of America group, to help make this happen, help bring more para-athletes into the sport. And it's cool seeing some of the unique setups that these riders have, Lauren, because there's so much customization that goes into these bikes, whether it's a hand cycle, a para bike. Everyone kind of sort of makes their own customizations to fit them and their needs. It's always cool to see these riders on their trainers at home.
Yeah, I bet that's a whole other ball of wax, isn't it, of how to set up your trainer with this. And so yeah, maybe we'd get to see that shot. Just this is new to me, so I wouldn't even know what it'd look like, so that would be super cool. But yeah, what a cool opportunity and a cool addition to the Echelon Racing League.
Yeah, I've gotten to learn so much about para racing over the last couple of years. There's so much that goes into it that we don't think about. Transporting the bikes is a huge part of it as well. Trying to get those machines across the country. Most of them don't box up into a bike box the way that a normal able-bodied bike would. So they were saying virtual racing is a huge opportunity to get more racing in because it is so difficult to travel with some of these para bikes or hand cycles.
That's such a valid point, and something, again, I just wouldn't have thought about because, yeah, the assumption of it just fits into a box like all of our stuff does. But no, you're totally right. I mean, they must have to drive a significant amount to get to a lot of these races across the country.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of what groups like PVA do. They're able to sort of transport multiple bikes together, help people out, and get more athletes to more races. So it's been really cool seeing more of those in real life and virtual opportunities for these riders to compete. Good look at Mar Dennis Parangual for the PVA Racing Squad.
Uh-oh. I thought we had technical difficulties like you were talking about. Like, is this your free lap?
I think he might just be muting me. He might just be saying, "Shut up, Brad. I don't need you in my ear." Again, there is a little bit of communication in the RGT app game as well, so maybe communicating with some of the riders out there in the virtual RGT world. All right, so as we're watching a little bit of our paracycling here, I want to bring in the Echelon Racing League, I guess commissioner, founder. I'm not sure what the title is for Eric Hill. He's also a racer on Project Echelon. We see him out racing a lot. Eric, what is your official title?
I guess you can just call me the innovator, Brad. We'll go with that. Thinking about things a little bit differently.
So, Eric, talk to me about the decision to add virtual racing this year to the Echelon Racing League. I know you guys have been working really hard with RGT in conjunction with them to make some things happen, and you got some big things on the horizon here coming into the Season 2 of Echelon Racing League here.
Yeah, no, we learned a lot last year just about how to make it more accessible, more inclusive, how to work with our international racers, how to bolster our community league. The idea of the draft came from Frank Cundiff. He's like, how do we learn from other professional sports in the United States that are really successful? They have a following, there's a good energy behind them, and how do we bring that to this space? And it's something we'd love to see happen in real life racing, but the virtual world just allows us to innovate and create and think however we want. We don't have a lot of the traditional barriers that in real life racing has. And so we're bringing it to life here. And so paracycling, hand cycling is one of the ways we can do that. Project Echelon is a veterans nonprofit organization that educates, equips, and empowers veterans through physical activity. Echelon Racing Promotions donates 22% of all of their revenue to Project Echelon and the work they do with veterans. And so this was a natural fit to work with the PVA to get those hand cycles into the game and to have, you know, representation for all athletes in the virtual space. Again, because we can.
So we saw a look at some of the early renderings of the hand cycles that are going to be coming into RGT, so the riders will have that representation in the app. And then running a full schedule for para and hand cycling as well. This is a huge opportunity, Eric, for riders to be able to do a full series.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're working with the Paralyzed Veterans of America. We are working with the Challenge Athletes Foundation. We're working with USA Paracycling and with the U.S. Paracycling Olympic Commissioner. To get more athletes here, to help have them understand the opportunities that are available to them, because there are so many, and then really, you know, to show what these athletes are able to do. Their disabilities aren't limiting factors for these men and women. They can do so much, and we want to show the world what's possible.
Well, you talked about those opportunities. I understand you're going to be getting to spend a little bit more time with Lauren this season as well. Lauren, you're going to be doing some directing with Project Echelon this year. Is that right?
I'm so excited to kind of bridge that gap over from women's cycling to men's cycling, and kind of having those similarities of it's still bike racing when it comes down to it. And I hope that my knowledge and this smile won't always be on my face with these guys. Like I want to see them do well, and I want to see them succeed, and I want to help them get to their roles and what their job is in racing. And so, yeah, Eric has given me this opportunity, and I'm really excited about it.
You are a saint.
Wait, who's a saint here?
Both of you. Eric, you got to be excited, though. I mean, what a great director to have on board.
Oh, man, we're definitely honored to have Lauren on board. I mean, one of the most decorated women in U.S. cycling. She's got a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, both internationally here and in the U.S. And we know we have a lot to learn from her and on and off the bike. And so I know she's going to help us build a really strong and successful culture in our team.
Right on. Eric, thanks so much.
You guys already have a great group of guys, so I'm really excited to work with this group specifically.
They just need a little bit of direction from Lauren Hall. That's all. Eric, thank you very much. Hey, last thought, does Jackie Godby finally get beat today? We got one rider with her off the front, so we're wondering if we might finally see an upset here in the ERL.
Yeah, we're super excited to have Beast Mode on board with the Echelon Racing League this year. An international team that has massive success in the virtual racing space on Zwift as well. So to be able to bring them over to the RGT platform and have them just carry that knowledge over, we hope we can give Jackie a run, and she hopes so too. Jackie's a competitor at heart, and she wants people to push her to her new level as well.
All right, let's get back to it and keep an eye on it. Eric, thank you so much, and well, we'll see you next week, or more racing in the Echelon Racing League. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so those two still off the front. We were monitoring Godby as the leader of this group, and she may be finding herself solo here pretty soon. This is typically the time where we start to see some separation. So still keeping an eye on the German Skalu, who has been with her. They have built their gap up to 650 meters now over the chasers. So, Lauren, this is looking better and better for our two leaders. But, again, you can never give up. Second place is always available. You are one Wi-Fi dropout away from being able to move up into this front group.
Yeah, it's tough to see it, that gap just keep growing for that group in the back. But it looks like Shalou, maybe, did she just put in an attack on Jackie right there?
I think so. And look at Godby responding out of the saddle here.
Like you just said to Eric, somebody's going to give her a run for her money. You just never know who's going to show up to these things.
Well, did not have this one on my bingo card today. Skalu attacking Godby here at minute to
Or if we're gonna
24.9K to go.
Are we going to play Uno? You need to, here's your draw 4. Let's go.
Right.
Take 4 more cards.
Godby makes it back up there onto the wheel of Skalou. So she says, all right, good try. I like it, but you're going to have to do better than that.
Or, hey,
Godby's
you had me there for a second.
exactly. And now Godby puts a little orange ride in. She's going to go into the red here on the front. Oh, classic counterattack. Goes right over the top of Skalou and then hits it again. Opens a little gap, and that forces Skalou to go into the red zone to close it down. Godby's like, all right,
move.
You want to play? Let's play.
Yeah, that's such a good move just to kind of you catch back on and like, all right, yeah, like you just said, Brad, just I'll counterattack that. I'll see your ace. I'll raise you. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see how many watts you can put out for the next 24K.
Well, Godby, not only a strong bike racer, but obviously a pretty smart bike racer as well. Jackie has her PhD, and she published her PhD, and get this, her PhD paper was on hydrogen bonding stiffens peptide amphiphile supramolecular filaments by azoglycine residues. How about that?
What'd you just say? I
only know what like 3 words of those mean, but Jackie described it as changing a single atom with a 1/20th small self-assembling peptides is sufficient to change the strength of the whole structure when they assemble, and cells can sense that. So that's what hydrogen bonding stiffening peptide amphiphile supramolecular filaments by azoglycine residues means.
Hey, Brad, don't even lie and tell me the truth that you just read every bit of that. I know you just didn't rattle
I
it
have
off
my
memory.
I have my copy of Acta Biomaterialia, which was published September 2nd, 2021. That's my one of my preferred readings. Like to keep some journals on hand on my coffee table. No, she was published as part of her PhD back in September of this year, and her PhD thesis, I guess, was on, all the stuff I just said.
I love the wide variety of backgrounds that we have in the sport. You never know how people get to cycling or where they come from, and just such a gift to learn these individuals off the bike as much as well as on the bike. So to know that she's just this brilliant individual is no surprise. This sport is such a gift to me to introduce me to so many new things, including what did you just say?
Yeah, you didn't remember?
Hydrogen something.
Hydrogen bonding peptides something. That's why we're thankful to have smart PhDs like Jackie Godby out there making the world better for us, bonding our peptides.
Well, it's good to see Shalou is sticking with her, and they're back to working together again. It looks like, and the peloton has diminished significantly behind them from this effort. And I like to see these ladies still putting in, full training and full race mode, not giving up. This is still bike racing, so you never know. Like you said, maybe somebody's internet's going to drop out. Let's hope.
Now, Skalou, no stranger to virtual racing. She is the current #1 female rider in the Zwift rankings. So, spent a lot of time on the Zwift platform. There's always a question of how that transition goes from Zwift onto RGT. I'd say she's got it figured out pretty well, riding with Jackie Godby at the front right now. This is going to be a great battle this season between these two. I mean, you're talking about a Zwift expert that has finally come over to RGT and is going to be giving Jackie Godby a run for her money here in Season 2.
Yeah, she saw that NFT and was like, you know what, I'm going to go in for the run-in for that. I'd like one of those, please. Thank you.
And there's a look at Schumann.
But Brad, in all seriousness, I would think that the platforms and the effort are probably similar. And so coming over to Echelon Racing League, maybe a little bit different on, like you said, some of the cornering or but the starts seem about the same, and maybe this is her intro into pro racing in real life. I don't know, but yeah, if you're good on one platform, you're going to be good on another for sure.
A lot of riders did report having trouble adjusting to the change in physics on RGT. It's a little more realistic on RGT. It also gets rid of all the sort of gamification, I guess, on Zwift. There's no power-ups or hiding or draft. There's all kinds of like bonus power-up point things you can get on Zwift. None of that here. This is pure racing on RGT. So I think a lot of riders have trouble sort of moving over to that, but obviously not Skalou here. Here's Corrent making her way to the front. This was one of our draft picks getting the call up.
Nice to see her move to the front and show a little confidence of being up there. Like, I belong up here, and Aaron belongs up there. So, yeah, I like it when people move to the front and kind of put a stamp on I want to be up here and I want to race my bike.
Corrent putting in a nice effort here, string things out a little bit. But looks like this group has come to an understanding that this one probably going to stay together in this group of three, as now those leaders are almost a kilometer up the road with 21K to go. You could still do it, but man, seeing that number go up and up and up, 200 meters away, 300 meters away, 400 meters away before eventually they're at a point of no return, I have to think, at some point.
Yeah, a kilometer up the road. And it's hard to take mentally to know that they're riding away, knowing if you're still riding, steady and hard. But, you just got to keep putting forth the effort and at least getting the workout at this point. So it's worth working together. It's worth learning the system if you're new to the league, learning the corners potentially, or learning your effort, or maybe even just gauging where you are in training in the year, because it's December and we race again tomorrow. Now they'll know to start off full gas and to watch God be with Hawkeyes.
Yeah, it was one rider that you had to worry about. I think now you have to worry about two riders going up the front. Now there's two that you want to watch and follow at the front of the race, and just try and hold on to a wheel and try and get on the right side of the split that is almost inevitably coming. So Skalou on the front, who we've been talking about here, a virtual racing expert, really got into the sport, the competitive side of the sport on the virtual side. Only started riding 4 years ago as a commuter, really. Just tried to do a little less driving and a little more riding, and took an interest in triathlon before eventually moving to Zwift only a couple years ago. So she is a virtual expert through and through on these e-racing platforms.
Yeah, Brad, I mean, you see a lot of that. Some of these athletes come from commuting or single speed. I've seen that. I came from soccer. You've seen a lot of triathletes come in, runners come into the sport from injury, and then you have this online platform that people can do after work or before school, or so I think it's just opened up the door just a little bit more to our sport and the possibilities for some of these individuals to kind of chase a dream. To, hey, you can tell your parents to click on the link and follow along, and somebody's saying my name. That's not my family, so I'm going somewhere, Mom.
Well, and we're seeing new opportunities to become a pro and really be a pro bike racer. You can now be a professional virtual racer. You can be a pro e-racer because the opportunities are there, the money is there, and well, just like Julia's showing us, I mean, if you commit and you got the natural talent, you can really make a pretty good run out of it. So that's what Skalou is doing this year.
Yep.
All right, so as Godby and Skalou continue to put time into this group, up over 1.1K ups. Looks like our para riders about to make their way into the finish. This is Pete Kilgore, your race leader, at 1.2K to go to the line. So he's going to be on his final lap of racing here. There's a good look at Paul. Riding for the PVA squad, presented by First Nation Group.
And
it
Paul's
looks like
just
Kilgore.
been dangling off the front.
Yep.
He's been at that 200, 300-meter mark just about the entire race. So this is a great push to the finish to not give up and keep going.
I have to imagine these last 900 meters or so are probably some of the hardest 900 meters of the race. When you've been out there for the better part of 30 minutes, putting in the effort that this guy has, those last, what is now 850 meters, just keep seeming longer and longer and longer. He's down to his final 4 corners. One last little loop around the bottom loop of the Indy Crit course before he hits the finish line for the final time. There, he can see it just on the other side of the virtual course there. So again, pretty soon, Paul Kilgore is going to have the opportunity to put his virtual character onto a parabike or hand bike, very similar to what you saw on his Zoom call there. So I cannot wait to see that implemented in the game. It's going to be a really cool opportunity. Kilgore down to 500 meters to go now. Just locking it in. I guess you can afford to take a couple breaks here, kind of coast on your way in. As we pick up Parangao, the second place in our para competition. I think also racing for PVA. I'll get confirmation on that. But Kilgore going to wrap things up on the front into his last left-hand turn.
Pushing it to the
and
finish.
Paul Kilgore got the finish line in sight. Nice red effort all the way through. I love it. He's got the win by 360 meters, but still puts in one last little dig onto the finishing stretch as Paul Kilgore is going to win our paracycling competition today at the Indy Crit, part of Momentum Indy. I love they got the virtual fans on the line as well. Great work by ZMS Livestream, covering all of our cameras and our streaming this weekend in the Echelon Racing League as we wrap up our paracycling competition out there. Dennis Parangao up next for the PVA Racing Squad. On his way in, last 100 meters here, onto the finish stretch. Red zone all the way through. And man, that's got to feel good. Back up to the front of our pro women's race now. Scaloo and Godby still going at it. Up to 1.2K in front of the rest of our pro women's field. As these two continue. Just lock it in, do battle.
You kind of get into a rhythm when you get out here for this long with each other. And you kind of create this bond together. And these two, if they continue racing in the league, will definitely have eyes on each other for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's nice to see them working together. Yeah, you have nothing to lose except to work together out here for this long.
Watching Godby's tempo here, it looks like pretty low tempo. I'm guessing she's going with a bigger gear. It doesn't look like she's spinning a whole lot. Maybe trying to keep some resistance on those legs. I also noticed Godby, we noticed this last year, she always rides on her time trial bike. She has access to a road bike, but I guess just prefers the fit or feel of the time trial bike on the trainer. I guess that's just personal preference, Laura.
Huh, good eyes. I guess I wasn't really picking up on that. I was looking at her heart rate over there. I'm guessing that's her at 169, yep. Almost 170. Yep. Yee-hoo!
Yeah, so how personal is heart rate? Like, how much does that vary between people? Is there a baseline heart rate that you look for?
Yeah, another good point that we kind of go back to when we were talking in the men's race about power. Heart rate is very specific, obviously, to each individual, but because of age and just your makeup, your genetic makeup. So
yep.
I'm 42 years old. I'm running 170. I'm almost tapped out. And, Jackie, not so much, right? She can. It looks like she can sit here and hold this heart rate most of the day. So yeah, it's again just one of those things that you can look at and know that they're probably going pretty hard, but at the same time, like power versus heart rate, you can kind of look at those two and get a measurement. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, based on their genetic makeup, if that's a high heart rate for them.
You can see the power file in the upper left-hand corner. See that sort of up and down line in the box right now? That's showing the past power of the rider that we're watching. So you can also kind of get an idea of what their range is. You can kind of see if they've been spending a lot of time in this power zone or not. Jackie Godby's power profile looking pretty flat to me right now, Lauren.
Yeah, right. Like she's never jumping too far up or too far down, and that's exactly what you want to see. And, hey, she rides her time trial bike for a reason. So either she was a triathlete or is a very good time trialist, and that is a sign of a good athlete, endurance athlete, that can kind of keep that level effort all the way through. Because as soon as you peak out, there's no coming back from that. So you'll eventually have this diminishing line, diminishing return of effort that you'll have heart rate increases and your power decreases unless you can kind of keep, like you said, that even kill number or an even kill line like what she's showing.
Riders always talk about wanting to have a constant power, the ability to hold a constant power, hold it steady. And then the other thing that a lot of the coaches is they want to see as many zeros on your power file as they can in a virtual race like this, because you want to save as much wattage as possible. But once you figure out that rhythm like Jackie Godby has up there, it's really only dropping power out in those corners, and that's the only time that that she's going to be dropping that power. Even in terms of changing the order in the pace liner and trying to draft off of each other, if you do that right, your power really shouldn't change all that much, right? I mean, you want a smooth exchange. It's about going from maybe 300 to 320 watts. It's not 300 to 500 watts.
Exactly. And a good example of that would be a team time trial, or go out and ride with your buddy and just try and rotate through at a consistent, and you realize how hard it actually is.
Super
for just
hard. Yeah.
Your everyday amateur individual that just loves to ride bikes, but that's a good learning curve for somebody that rides a lot. I've definitely tried to monitor some friends, or maybe some masters that I might ride with. I'm not going to name any names over here in Durango, but I love them to death. But no, that's that steady power is so important. It's so important in training. It's so important in racing. And like you said, if this is all together, the person with the least amount of watts is going to be the freshest at the end, and going to go for the sprint. But when you're Jackie out there, when you're Shalou out there, their power is going to be significantly higher. They're doing a lot more work, a lot more effort. But yeah, it's more steady effort.
Good look at Gabriella Schumann back here for the Beast Mode presented by Rose Team. And you see how she gets out of the saddle because she's seeing those riders on the front. So what she's doing is sort of anticipating an acceleration or anticipating a change in tempo when she sees riders surge forward, trying to get in front of it. Smart racing, heads-up racing here from Gabriella.
Yeah, just keeping that pace high too. Just trying to keep people motivated to pull through, doing her part, representing up front. And what we might see, Brad, is towards the end of this race now, we're at 13K to go. For me, the magic number was always 10K to go. I feel like I could always do anything almost for 10K or at least 5K. 3K for sure. But as a sprinter, you kind of back that up. 5K, all right, that's pretty manageable. I can do something pretty hard for that long. 10K, I'm going to start giving out some effort. I'm going to try and maybe put in a couple attacks, mix it up because there's 10K left. Those guys, Jackie and Shalou, they're up the road. They're gone. There's no coming back. So now we're racing for third. So I would start, if I'm thinking about some of these racers, I'm going to think that they're going to be a little bit more active in the back last 10K.
I can't do anything for 10K, let alone stay focused in a breakaway.
Wait, no, you're like a bike packer or something, aren't you? Come on, to stop lying.
Yeah, I'm off in my own world while I'm bike packing. I'm not thinking about closing gaps and what wattage I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out what bird's making that weird noise off in the woods somewhere.
What?
All right, as we go under, yeah, I'll give it a go someday, like somewhere, somehow. Inside 12 kilometers of racing here as Godby and Skalou continuing to ride on the front here. I want to share one more really cool thing about the Indy crit here as part of Momentum Indy. We talk a lot about racing here over the weekend of in real life racing, but Momentum Indy also has a really cool ride that they do called the Honor Major Taylor Ride. As you know, Marshall Major Taylor has a big connection to Indianapolis, and every year at Momentum Indy, they host the Marshall Major Taylor Ride the morning of the Indy Crit. So it's Saturday morning every year. It's open to everybody that wants to go out and ride, and a lot of the pros take part in that one as well.
How cool would that be? Look, I gotta come to this race. There's the beer, the brewery I gotta go to, the Belgian brewery, like the Major Taylor Ride, the velodrome, the home of Reggie Miller. Back with our women's racing, and Jackie and Shalou still off the front, gaining distance in between the peloton behind them. 9K left. These two have been off just about the entire race.
Sorry about that, Lauren. I dropped out. I had my own mechanical here for a second. I had my own technical. The dog jumped on the Wi-Fi. He was trying to stream some Netflix. I had to shut it down.
Yeah, okay.
All right, but we're back. Sorry about that. I got dropped when we were looking at those murals. I know we saw the Reggie Miller mural, but how cool to have Major Taylor get his own mural as well.
Well, then I don't know if you even heard my request, because my request is that I need to come to this race live and in person, because not only do we have the Belgian brewery that I have to go to, but then, yeah, how cool would it be to do the Major Taylor Ride on the velodrome? Like, I just think that's such a cool opportunity for so many people. And then, of course, I'm a huge Reggie Miller fan. We are friends. He is a huge cycling supporter. on the board of USA Cycling, who I am employed by. So yeah, this is such a cool race, and yeah, God, let's do this. Come on, where's my invite? Where's my ticket? How do I get there?
You're in. I will make sure that you're there in 2022. You might have to work. You might have to do a little directing, a little announcing. You might have to race a little bit, but we'll get you there.
Okay. Well, I don't know about the racing. Hold up now. You had me at work and you had me at directing and announcing, but the whole racing bit, those days are behind me. That's why these ladies are where they are and I am where I am.
We're going to have to fly Julia Skalou over to get a go at the In Real Life course. Skalou, a German rider based in Germany. I'm not sure that they do have a criterium racing scene in Germany. They have like the rad races over there. They do a lot of fixed gear crits as well, but I don't know that she would have really seen an American style of racing. American style crits. We know those are unique. She's from Gießen, Germany.
It is a learning curve for a lot of the Europeans to come over and do our crit racing per se. I mean, they, over in Europe, they do have kermesses, which are a little bit longer circuits, but the crit racing here is so dynamic, so sharp, so aggressive. It takes them a couple of races to get used to, but then then they kind of figure it out, just like when we go over there and try to figure out some of their spring classics. Woo! Right. So yeah, there is a learning curve for both sides of the coin here. But yeah, she would crush it. It would be so much fun to see her in real life.
Yeah, you always wonder if we put Godby and Skalou maybe on a road course like a Redlands or a Tour of the Gila course, something like that. Would they still ride together? Would that translate over to real life? Would they still be as evenly matched? Would the race still play out the same? Now, part of why they're riding together is because the tactics of the race dictate that, it's better to just stick together with these two. But I kind of wonder how they would line up on in real life. Both of these riders are virtual experts. We talked about Julia just coming into the sport, basically the competitive side as a virtual racer. Jackie came into the sport as a triathlete. She had a lot of experience racing and winning triathlons before moving into virtual bike-specific racing, I guess. So I guess Godby has a little more experience in real-life racing, but I would love to see Skalou take a go at it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing I just read on Skalou is that she would do double days on the trainer. So she'd do like a easier, longer ride in the morning than the evening. She would, God, to get on the trainer again, woo-hoo-hoo, and do a hard effort at night, like, look, man, I'm good for one time a day, even on the outside in the real world, riding my bike. So doing a double day and that mentality it takes, that translates from Skalou to Godby being a triathlete and just knowing how to go hard for a significantly long period of time.
Yeah. Wow, 2-a-days on the trainer. Hats off.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what it takes if you're going to
seeing a little
hone your
bit
craft.
Of aggression now.
Yeah.
In the back of the peloton, like I said, now you're kind of getting down to the wire. You've been riding together for most of the race. Let's try and get up the road and get third place.
That's what McGregor's doing here. That's the Velocity Vixen kit, the orange and purple of Bronwyn McGregor. That is also the team of Angie Bonacici, who you see coming up the right side. Bonacici has been aggressive out there, so I wonder if maybe the Velocity Vixen squad trying to get something together as a team. Ayala also on that squad. You see her up at the front. So really, this separation has been made back in the peloton. This is down to like, let's call it 12 riders. There's Angie Bonacici. And she looks pretty comfortable to me. I'm thinking Bonacici still got some left in the tank here.
I agree with you, Brad. Yeah, still on the tops up there. She's putting out a bit of an effort, but don't see her like really standing up, head hanging. So yeah, you can tell it's getting a bit more aggressive.
You can see she's getting ready, though, because she's kind of like ready to pounce. She's preloading, getting ready for one of those attacks to come, and she knows that she needs to respond to it immediately when it goes. It's not if at this point. It's 6.9K left. You're going to start seeing some moves go off the front to try to lock in third place here. So this is a much different dynamic back in the race for third, just like this Triple X rider flying through the middle. A much different dynamic back here in the race for third than what we're going to see up in the race for first and second with our two leaders. So this is Carolus. That Triple X rider must have been a lap down rolling up because they're putting Carolus into third here. Now Schumann goes to the front. So, all right, it is on back here on the peloton. Lauren, all of a sudden, the switch has been flipped, and it is red all over the place here.
No doubt. It's so fun to see. And, yeah, just these teams are going to just try and get up the road, make something happen. They've been riding around together for the last 20 or 30K. Yeah, let's try and get that third place. Get some racing.
And you can see Schumann out of the saddle here. And they're going to come up to the leaders here. You see Skalou and Godby being caught on the right-hand side of the screen, but they're a lap down at this point. So you see it's still showing as a 1.5 meters ahead because Godby and Skalou are a lap up. So they are going to start mixing in here, but Godby and Skalou are a lap up. Those are your two leaders. That's not going to change. It's Schumann, Rokkanen, Corrent, Ayala, McGregor. Those are the riders racing for third place. Now Godby putting in an effort here.
Yeah. Trying to drop Skalou now. I wonder if she kind of feels a little bit of like, okay, I don't know if I can tow you to the line or I can out sprint you. So I'm just, yeah, giving her.
And Jackie Godby's loving this right now. I have to say, having interviewed Jackie quite a bit last year, I can tell you that what Jackie Godby wants is for more riders to be able to do what Jackie Godby is able to do. So she is thrilled to have Skalou with her here. Jackie Godby doesn't want to come into races and dominate. She wants to raise the entire level of racing here. And, well, she finally has a worthy match here in Echelon Racing League Season 2.
Agreed.
Good look at Aaron Ayala here, staying in the group, nice and calm. Part of that Velocity Vixen squad. We saw Bonacisi earlier. I'm wondering if Ayala may be on deck. Little effort to close this gap here. It's easy to let those start opening up later and later in the race.
Yeah, like I said, like you start monitoring how much you can open up and then close back down.
Yep.
Like, I can let this go a little bit more. I gotta close it back down. Or you know when the corners are coming up, you put a couple of pedal strokes in and bridge that gap slightly.
You know what? You must have coached Aaron Ayala because you guys are on the same page. You're on the efficiency standard out there. So yeah, you must have given Aaron some advice at some point.
Yeah. Actually, I have her on Discord right now. No, I'm just teasing.
Right. All right, so Godby and Skalou still sticking together. Again, that gap back to the group of three is irrelevant. These two are a lap up. It's interesting to see both of these lead riders in the green and blue zone right now. Certainly not pushing it here for the last 3 kilometers. They're in the endurance or tempo zones right now, so really just waiting for that fuse to be lit here in the group of two. Look at these two perfectly matched. I mean, watt for watt, pedal stroke for pedal stroke here.
Yeah, and they should keep working together at least until, well, I don't know, probably around now because they're such endurance athletes and can go from a long way out as we have seen this entire race. But yeah, they should probably keep working together a little bit longer. And yeah, it is pretty cool to see how evenly matched they are. You're right.
And like you said, that's hard to do. I mean, it's really hard to ride evenly with a rider on RGT. It takes some skill to be able to sort of normalize your power output, keep it steady at 300 or 400 or whatever it is, whatever you're trying to keep it at. As Skalou goes now, lifting the tempo a little bit. But yeah, there's absolutely an acquired skill to being able to ride the way that Godby and Skalou have been able to out there today.
And an interesting part now where they are in the race and how they've been caught essentially by the pack, even though they're a lap up, is just like in real life, is like you got to keep an eye on each other because coming down to the finish, it's you two, right? And so if you kind of get shuffled in the mix or whatever, and you kind of lose track of that rider, it can be detrimental, and you could lose the race. So it's important that you kind of see that they kind of like, okay, we need to get back out here and it's just be the two of us so we can keep an eye on each other again.
Skalou and Godby going to be heading into their final lap of racing. And
Who's
then
your call?
we'll do one more round.
Let's hear it.
To determine third. I'm going to go with the newcomer here. I'll take an upset with Julia Skalou. I think her Zwift power comes into play here, and the #1 rider on Zwift upsets the #1 rider of the Echelon Racing League.
Let's see.
Might be a little confusing because they are going to be finishing, it looks like, in this group. So,
right.
We'll pick out, again, Godby in the red and blue jersey of Triple X Racing, Skalou in the sort of white and black beast mode presented by Rose Racing. Coming up on 6 watts per kilo for Skalou here. Godby dials it back into the corner, coming up on 1K to go. And I think this is probably lifting the speed of that third place group here as well. They're just along for the ride, but after these two finish up, they'll go around one more time and sort out third place. But I think they're kind of adopting the Skalou and Godby tempo up here on the front. Skalou now going to try and open up a little bit of space here. Got a teammate Heg with her. I'm not sure if the drafting would turn off for the lapped riders or not.
Good question.
Oh, and there he goes. ZMS live stream letting me know that it is on but lower for lapped riders. So there is not as much of a draft. But there is still a little bit of a draft to be had off of the wheel of these two.
Here we go.
Skalou and Godby down to the last 2 corners now. 400 meters of racing. Penultimate left-hander. Skalou going to get to the front, but that's Godby right on her wheel. Now Godby surges ahead. Godby going here into the last corner. Yep. Godby still in the green till she gets out of the corner. Goes yellow, orange, red. Godby lights it. Skalou having trouble responding, and Jackie Godby, welcome back to the Echelon Racing League, as Godby will get another one here. Opening the account on season 2, and Skalou going to go second. What a ride for Godby. Now we got to sort out third place. One more podium spot available, but man, how about that finishing sprint from Godby? Ay, ay,
ay. Man, she just lit it up out of that corner. Holy cow.
Man, I have a feeling Skalou got a little wake-up call on that one for how sprinting works on RGT. The corner was a huge part of it. I noticed Godby went into the green zone, barely pedaling around the corner, and then immediately got into the red zone as quickly as she could. Back to the front of this sprint for third, Ayala, Carent, Carolus, all trying to get there. Bonacisi dropping back a little bit. Here comes O'Toole. Any rider in this group can win out of this group right now. Any of these 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 riders in here still have a shot. Ayala getting to the front. Rokkanen, Haig in there as well. Still got 850 meters to go. That's a lot of racing in this group, so they're all playing the waiting game. Everyone's looking around right now.
Yeah, and maybe they learned something in that last lap from Godby and Shalal from how they raced that finish. And so, yeah, if anybody knows how to hit that last corner like they did.
I have to imagine Jackie Godby remembers this one from last year as well. So that experience, I think, played a little bit into her win out there today. Nelson getting to the front now for the first time as they go inside 500 meters down to their last 2 corners. Now it's really a race to that last corner. You can see the right-hand side of the screen sort of in the middle there.
Here we go.
As they go into the last corner, Carolus going to try and give herself a little pad into the final left-hander. Emma Toole in the mix as well, the British rider getting up there. Rokkanen in the mix, onto the finishing stretch. Here comes Ayala. Carolus going now. Karen, our draft pickup, trying to get into it. Rokkanen and Carolus going to be the two going to the line here. Ayala going to try and surge up the middle, and Ayala got it for third. Aaron Ayala comes out of nowhere, out of the group. After some big attacks on the day, Ayala sits back and wins the field sprint for third for Velocity Vixen.
Holy cow, what an effort right then from Aaron. That was, oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
We had two awesome finishes. The Jackie Godby finish on the way in, and then the Aaron Ayala sprint right through the middle of the group. That was awesome. Two great finishes at the end of our pro women's race.
Man, that was quite the day. You know, starting off, Jackie and Shalou just took off from the gun. Never saw them again. Rode well together, tried to attack each other once or twice. Nothing, they couldn't separate from each other. They decided to work together. And then to come down to a finish that Jackie's obviously seen before, it looked like. So good win for Godby for sure.
All right, let's see if we can go grab a word with our women's race winner, Jack Godby.
Hello, Jackie. Congratulations on the win to start off your season. How does it feel?
Is that better?
Yeah. How does this win feel for you, Jackie?
What?
How does this win feel for you?
Oh, that was one of the most fun races I've had in a while. Trading spots with Shalou was an absolute blast. She kept the race fun, exciting, at a great level. I think it's a fantastic kickoff to a season, and I'm so excited to keep racing this year.
Let's talk about that last sprint for you, that last kick-in. What was going through your mind going through that last turn?
Honestly, RGT physics. So knowing that last turn was going to kick me out right at 200 meters, which is sort of my personal sweet spot for sprinting on a flat, and knowing that it was just going to be riding the wheels into that turn, getting as much momentum as possible, but not dropping the hammer until the brake was off. So really just getting into the game, you know, using that platform experience to sort of set myself up to use the muscles I've trained all season.
Yeah, nice win under your belt. How are you hoping to carry this momentum going into the next race?
Honestly, I'm excited. That was a fun race, and I hope to have fun tomorrow. I hope to have fun the rest of the season. I think that's the key, is to enjoy every race. You know, you're always going to suffer. At some point, it's going to hurt, but overall, you know, I think the most important thing for me is to keep this a positive, fun experience, and today was really one of those.
All right, thank you so much, Jackie. Congratulations. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Well, there you go. RGT Physics, the key to the game. Jackie wearing her Take That Hill jersey. She was part of that community fundraising ride just a few weeks ago on RGT with the Echelon Racing Group. So pretty cool to have Jackie back. Boy, this is going to be a great season in the Echelon Racing League, Lauren. The racing that we saw today at the front of this women's race, we got a great matchup at the top of this battle.
Brad, you called it. You called it on both fronts, that she wanted to have fun out there racing hard. That's exactly what she said in the interview. And the racing physics of the game, of how to play the game into that last corner, following the wheels, and that it's going to spit her out at 200 meters to go, and to have that full gas effort. You called both of hers. It's like you've done this before.
Well, you know that old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I have a feeling it's a very different race, even going into tomorrow, because there was some major learning going on in that sprint, I think, for the new riders to RGT. So Jackie obviously had it dialed in. She knows the course. She knows, like you said, the RGT physics that she talked about a lot is a big part of it. So there's definitely a learning curve there, and we're going to see that learning curve, I think, accelerate here on RGT over the next few days or a few weeks, I guess, of racing as we go to December 18th. So I got a couple weeks off after this one before we go into the next one. Let's take a look at how the rest of our top 10 shook out. We saw Erin Ayala sprinting ahead for that third place finish. That gets her on the podium for the Velocity Vixen team. Gabriella Schumann ends up in fourth place. Saw a lot of her for the Beast Mode presented by Rose team. So they go 2 and 4 today with Skalal and Schumann. Then Anna Rokinen for the Triple X Racing Atletico squad up into fifth. Sarah Carolus we saw having a good sprint at the finish into sixth. Beast Mode had a great day today. Got Elise Haig in there as well. Urska Corrent, our draft pick, up into 8th position. And then Bronwyn McGregor and Angie Bonacisi from the Velocity Vixen team. Awesome to see Corrent getting up there, Lauren. You're not always sure how your first big pro debut is going to go, but nice to see Corrent got up there inside the top 10.
Yeah, like we were just talking about in the men's race too, is just having that experience, and you never know what's going to happen, and then to have that opportunity, and then you get top 10. Like that's great. It helps your confidence so much, and then we'll see them again tomorrow and the next couple weeks, hopefully. So, yeah, this is great. And to see, like you said, Beast Mode kind of stack the top 10 a little bit right there. I wonder if there's a team standing as well, I imagine.
Well, some bragging rights certainly among the teams. Beast Mode gets 4 riders inside the top 10 on day 1 of the Echelon Racing League, the Momentum Indy Crit. Lauren, final thoughts from today, looking ahead to tomorrow. I mean, obviously they make some tweaks, some adjustments, but you just got to kind of recover, rest, and get ready to do it all again tomorrow.
Race and learn, race and learn, race and learn. And I love Jackie's enthusiasm for the start of the year and her stoke on racing and having a good time.
Gabi will be back racing with us tomorrow for day 2 of the Echelon Racing League as we go to the Tour of America's Dairyland for the Giro de Grafton, another criterium tomorrow. So if the riders like the accelerations of today, they're going to love tomorrow. It's another good one, just under a mile long, plenty of corners, and a little bit of a hill on tomorrow's race as well. We start broadcasting at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 a.m., with a race start at 11:10. So same schedule as we had here today. For Lauren Hall, my name is Brad Soner, saying thanks for watching Week 1 of the Echelon Racing League. We hope to see you back tomorrow for the Tour of America's Dairyland Giro de Grafton. Until then, bye-bye.